board on what he mentioned as well. And I love the response on the board when it comes to the championship game. Why then? I mean, why protect the conference? Because they are concerned someone might win the conference who's not among the top 8 or 10 and 12 teams in the country. You're still going to get, if there's 12, I will book it. I will bet a limb that they'll have 4 teams get in no matter what. They're getting right now 2, and sometimes there's been argument they should get all 4.
I think that bad years for the SEC in a 12-team playoff will be 3 teams.
Yeah.
That'd be a bad year.
Yeah.
Like that means that there's, a bunch of teams that are about the same level knocking each other off, and you have kind of craziness. But a bad year, if it was a normal year, you'd get Alabama, Georgia, and LSU. You're going to get them, or whoever the revolving door third team would be. But, yeah, you're going to get 3.
And I think it's a fair point that, the SEC brings up, or whoever he mentioned that brought this up specifically, that, what about the team that finishes, 11th or whatever, and the 24th ranked team wins the Pac-12 conference? Well, that's just the way that it works out then. Like, I think to not do it because of this far-flung scenario of what could happen, then we could just never get anything done.
That's what we have every year when somebody goes, well, what happens when there's 5 undefeated teams? So
Which never happens. There's barely even 3.
And look, sometimes not even 2.
I hope there is, so we can wrestle with that.
That'd be great.
That'd be insanity. Here's another thing. If you are who you are, and you are without question the best, most successful conference in college football, I'm not saying you're afraid of anything, but you're going to get 3 or 4 teams in just because of who you are, unless it does cycle out, and most likely it will not. I don't understand that. You mean, so if you're not, again, why?
Let's not dwell on the SEC part of it.
Why is that such a problem?
Well, they clearly, we've laid it out. Like, their reasoning's why. Now, you may agree or disagree with their reason, but that's the reason. And I don't agree with it. I don't care to say it. I think it's a stupid reason to not want to do it, is that you're afraid that 16 might bump 9 from this 12 team, or whatever the scenario would. That's the thing, is we'd have to sit down and write down the scenario that is their nightmare scenario and figure out a way to make that work.
A&M beating number 2 Kansas State one year in the Big 12 championship as an example.
K-State was still in the playoff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just using examples that would have still been okay.
Yeah.
Texas beating Nebraska in 96 in the first one. Still would have been in the playoff.
Both would have been in the playoff.
Yep.
So what's the problem? What's the freaking problem?
Oklahoma lost to Kansas State in a Big 12 championship game.
Are you
they
worried?
Still would have been in the playoff.
You worried you only get 4 instead of 5? Because that's what it feels like. It just feels like being kind of stingy. And I'll give you that there's 3, probably on average 3 teams every year that are playoff caliber teams, but I don't think there's necessarily 5. I don't think Mississippi State needs to get thrown in there at the end, in a random year. I think if you got LSU and Georgia and Bama and just say Tennessee got in there, that's not good enough. You need Oklahoma in there too. What the hell?
You have 33% of the playoff.
Exactly.
At that point, if you're baseball, you're in the All-Star game. So yeah, you're fine. You're 333.
Almost like they're doing what's best for them and don't care about everybody else.
Well, so are the Alliance schools.
No, I know, but that's kind of what Brett was saying too. Is that's the thing. Everybody's just being selfish. That's why nothing ever gets done. Mm-hmm. That's why everything gets pushed down the road. That's why everything basically here NFL, you're successful, but here's December. Here, have this. You know what? We don't need January either. Here, have this as well. Why does that happen? Because they're all being super selfish and not looking out for the best of the game, but then they'll do interviews and they'll talk about, well, I just want to do it. We got to play this, Jimbo, we got to play this non-con game against Tarleton State because we got to worry about all of college football, but yet that's one example of you worrying about college football, and then a ton of other examples of where you clearly do not give a crap about college football outside of your own bubble. So, what's the difference? I think it's all just dumb politics, quite frankly.
Well, it's kind of, no question. The 854 earlier today